Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, we're back again with some more Tech Bites.
Tech Bites, yes.
A little insights into what's happening in the channel, the world of business, technology, innovation, society.
Like it.
Basically, it's just, we just sit around and just talk about stuff we feel like talking about.
We got any beefs today? I did not bring a beef.
I don't think so.
All right, so just bites. So just good stuff today. Nothing, no downers,
one of my
no
stories.
beef.
One of my stories is maybe a bit of a downer. I'm going to be honest. I don't call it a beef, but it might be a little depressing depending on where you live in the country.
Fair enough.
We'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about one of the big shows recently. We're going to get into the 4-day work week again. I got a follow up for my last Tech Bites of sorts.
What?
Not a follow up to that direct story, but
all right.
a little more to elaborate.
Yep.
We're going to talk about EV charging networks.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how far your paycheck might actually go. That's the depressing story.
Oh God! Well, I can already tell you it doesn't go far enough.
We're going to get
End
into
of story.
Exactly. We're going to get into where generations get their news,
which is hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
a report on the Kiosk marketplace. We got lots of good stuff.
We got some good stuff. Yeah.
Good things that you can share with your friends, colleagues.
Yes.
Partners, you know, talk about around the water cooler.
Some that are industry specific, some that aren't.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
all right, well, let's get to it then.
What we got?
It's time for us to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, Dean, let's kick things off.
Yep.
The first one you sent me here, ProMat 2023.
Yep.
I have a feeling I know a little bit of where you're going with this because if you recall, Jody Costa mentioned, I think, on our marketing tips webinar that events were back, and a ProMat was a clear example of that.
Yes, that is true. But, I don't know that we need events to still give us the illustration of what is the biggest issue in warehouse logistics and everything like that.
True.
It's a surprise.
Let's hear it.
Labor.
Oh, shocked and amazed.
Shocked and amazed. So anyway, really. So ProMat was the ProMat 2023, which is a huge show, dude. It's like 50,000 attendees came there, which is a new record for the show, which is awesome. They had over 100 exhibitors, and I wish I had a chance
over
to go.
1,000 exhibitors.
Yes, I'm sorry. Did I say 100? Oh my God, yeah, no, 1,000 exhibitors. I wish I had a chance to go because there was a ton of automation, it sounds like. In fact, I'll just read from some retakes here. If one word was heard more often than any in the show was undoubtedly automation. So, it's clear. And why are you seeing all this automation? Well, it's because of the labor shortage, right? I mean, we talk ad nauseum about it, but now that big shows like this are back and you've got people congregating, what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about the lack of people that want to work.
Right.
So the automation is there. Automation means, now it doesn't mean necessarily, there was an interesting take, a reduction in labor force. It means increased efficiencies and more targeted customer service. I mean, I saw some videos from it. If you look at what's going on, robotics and automation is starting to even slice and dice down to the individual tasks that are happening amongst the supply chain. So really kind of fascinating to see that part. Another quote: robotics could be a game changer for mid-market companies to longer be so resilient on the labor productivity. So what that means is basically, folks are starting to see robotics get down into the mid markets. We always talk about, well, it's the big auto manufacturers and the big tier one, whatever, manufacturers or distributors and things of that nature. But it's starting to get down into the mid market on the robotics side. So that's kind of cool. And when you see some of this stuff that you saw at ProMat, again, wish I was there, it becomes abundantly clear that there's a lot of pressure to get some type of ability to do work, even down into the mid-level. I did have a couple of interesting things here. A survey that related to it. The top 2 supply chain challenges, obviously, again, were not just the labor, that's number 1, but also qualified or the talent, what they refer to as a talent ability to do these things. And so, not only is it sometimes just finding people to put in a place, but it's, skilled workers.
The right kind of people.
Exactly.
People actually know what they're doing.
Bingo. That kind of a thing. So, it was just kind of interesting to read up about what happened at ProMat and those two things. My last take here is some of the things that are falling off the table. So as usual, goes this read, the bottom of the list technologies that are likely to have a significant impact on supply chain, 2 of them, blockchain and 3D printing. So it's like, that was all the rage. Like, both of those seemed like they were all the rage not too long ago.
Yeah.
Like 2, 3, maybe.
I can see the path for 3D
ago.
printing, but blockchain.
What do you mean 3D printing, like plummeting, or still?
No,
being
the
around?
path for like that's still being at some point useful.
Oh, I see.
Blockchain's the
Got
one
it.
that I'm like, no
supply
one
chain?
really knows what the hell to do with that just yet.
Unless I don't know. I mean, you think about the need to have ownership, right, and the token of ownership down the supply chain. I thought that's where blockchain would kind of take off, but apparently it's becoming a bit of a
I suppose these folks that are worried more about do I have enough people and enough skilled labor to even get the job done. That's probably not higher on their priority list. Like I don't care about.
We're not going to worry about that blockchain stuff. Come on,
that's a pipe dream right now. I need to get some bodies in here first.
That's fair.
Maybe
that's fair. We got to get the work done first. Then we can worry about this blockchain and stuff like that. So anyway,
but I appreciated that at least it sounds like there was a lot of companies there who were trying to address this problem.
Yes.
It's not everyone's throwing their hands up in the air and saying, well, it just is what it is. Supply chain's kind of corrupted and labor shortages are hurting us. So be it. Here's the latest cool AI solution.
Yeah.
Like it's more of a, it's what we talk about all the time of bringing that value add by saying like, hey, not only do we have this cool technology, but here's how it's going to help an immediate problem that you actually have.
That's right.
There's going to be other problems it'll solve, but here's an immediate one that we know you're all dealing with, and this is how we can solve it.
And I also think it further highlights the fact that VARs and SIs got to get into this realm. They got to start understanding it at least. So maybe if you didn't go to ProMat this year, you should go. It's Modex next year because they flip-flop them. But you should go to Modex next year just to start absorbing some of this world and seeing what's out there. Because I guarantee you, this is happening very, very fast.
Even if you're not ready to sell it or your partners aren't asking for it, your customers aren't asking for it, it's going to happen at some point.
That's right.
You need, to your point, it's trickling down from the tier 1 companies. You're going to need to be ready for it. You don't want to be the last one in on this one. All right.
So what's happening in the UK now? You got a follow-up
So if you remember in our last Tech Bytes, I talked about like there was a conversation with someone, a tech company who had done the 4-day work week, and she'd kind of given her journal and highlights of it or whatever. And we had a little riffing a little bit on that. You weren't sure that was sustainable.
Well, because
or
she kind of jammed a 5-day work week, it seemed like, into 4 days, even though she really wasn't right. But she loved the fact she had Fridays off anyway.
Exactly. So apparently the UK had this huge pilot as part of an initiative going on in the UK where 60 companies, almost 2,900 employees, piloted a 4-day work week. And this was a lot of different types of companies, a lot of different industries. It was everything from like marketing to healthcare, insurance, a lot of different types of companies. Obviously ones where the ability to like not work a day was maybe a little easier, or maybe there was, it seemed like a little bit more white collar jobs more often than not typically. So basically,
not the guys and girls filling in the ditches.
No, exactly. Unfortunately, not. But basically, the idea was they gave them all the opportunity to do this, and essentially there was the only real mandate was you've got to essentially have the equivalent of a 4-day work week in some way throughout your business year.
Okay,
and the pay has to stay the same. That was the 2 important mandates as part of this.
Gotcha.
Now, they left it up to the companies to decide how they implement this. And they said, for a lot of them, it obviously depending on what they could do. Like if it was a company that said, hey, we can just literally shut down the entire company for 1 extra day and have a 4-day week, they could do that. If it was ones where, hey, we need 5 days, somebody needs to be
open 5 days. Right. But the workers can.
Right. Then they would ship, swap it off. Have some folks maybe Monday, some folks Friday, other days, whatever they wanted to do, swap that off. Some it was more of a kind of a broad over time sort of thing in a sense where like there's maybe peaks, if there are certain peaks of the year where their business was higher than others. Maybe like at one time of the year, like, hey, it's okay if you take 2 days off on this later part of the year, or work a lot fewer hours and maybe work a normal full-time schedule at a different point
during
in the
the
year
busy
when
time.
We need you, right?
Yeah, see, my wife kind of works in that industry.
Yeah.
There's definitely some dead time.
So there's some flexibility. There was some flexibility around that. But again, the ultimate goal was still that ultimately by the end of the year,
down to 4
we're
days.
Essentially cutting out a certain amount of time that your employees are working, and you're not paying them any less for doing so.
All right, sir.
So now I want to throw out some of the different stats that came out of this from the findings here. So the big one is this says the trial was a resounding success. Of the 61 companies that participated, 56 are continuing with the 4-day week. That's 92%, with 18 confirming the policy is a permanent change.
Whoa. 92%?
92%
are saying they're
going to
permanently going to make
No,
this
no,
a
no.
change?
18 of the companies said they will permanently make the change.
Got
of the
it.
60. 92% say they were going to continue, at least for now. Still
okay.
continue on, which is
Got
still,
it.
they're still
Yeah.
going to do it. It's a good chunk of people that are still going to do this. Before and after data shows that 39% of employees were less stressed and 71% had reduced levels of burnout at the end of the trial. 60% of employees found an increased ability to combine paid work with care responsibilities, and 62% reported it easier to combine work with social life. Companies' revenue, for instance, stayed broadly the same over the trial period, rising by 1.4% on average, weighted by company size across the respondent organizations. I didn't pull this note out, but I believe it was about 39. They reported a 39% increase over the same time period from the previous year, but that was a 2021 to 22 change. That can be, there's a lot of factors that can go in that. But either way, they didn't lose any revenue. In fact, there was overall a slight growth in revenue during this trial.
All right.
And finally, the number of staff leaving participating companies decreased significantly, dropping by 57% over the trial period. So what are your thoughts on this? I know last time you were kind of like, where does this end? Is everyone just going to want 1 day a week work?
I still don't know that it answered my question on that front.
Okay.
But this is really fascinating. I mean, everything that you just said is positive. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing
less
particularly
stress, nobody's, less people leaving. What was the pay one again?
It said you mean as far as revenues?
Yeah.
Revenue stayed broadly the same over the trial period, rising by 1.4% on average, weighted by company size across respondent organizations.
All right, so we're not losing any money.
We're not losing any money. In
not
fact,
losing
even gained
productivity.
A little.
Yeah. That
people
is
felt better about their time off, and there was and mind you, I didn't cherry pick the stats to leave out anything that was negative. There really wasn't much negative that came out of this. There was a few folks, like a very small portion of folks said they prefer 5 days a week, but I mean, that's no different than the folks that say, I want to work in the office all the time, or whatever,
Yeah.
And again, other than the companies that flat out just closed business for a day, none of them necessarily, told people like, hey, you absolutely have to do this, like it or not. It was more of we've given you this ability to do this if you want to. And also with the encouragement that, encourage CEOs and business leaders and all these organizations to abide by the idea of giving their employees more time available to themselves too, and not pushing the boundaries of this and saying like, okay, fine, we're going to do this, but then every now and then I'm going to, insist that you come in for another day or something. Some of them still did that, but if they did, there was a clearly laid out plan and expectation in place ahead of time where they told folks, hey, we're going to do this. However, there are certain circumstances and situations where we might bring you in. There were even also a few that apparently did it on something of a merit basis too, where it was like, hey, if you're keeping up your KPIs, if you are maintaining your quotas as we expect out of you, then yes, you can continue doing 4 days a week. If you're not, the expectation is that you come back
to
and do
5
instead.
Yeah, I did. It was interesting. I guess the quality of life, that's one of those things that you wonder. But just to pull a quote out, because they had some quotes in the study too. You have no idea what this means to my family. The amount of money we'll be able to save on childcare.
Yeah, if you think about it, 1 day a week, even 1 day a week, how much money you save? I mean, in childcare,
for
it's
sure.
expensive.
But I'm still in my mind. So where's the end? Now did they do another study where it's like the 3 day work week?
I don't think. I mean, that's just it. I don't know that people are suggesting that. They're simply saying like, hey, can we do this with 1 less day a week and giving 1 more day into people's lives out of each week?
Yeah.
You're right. Of course, there's always someone who's going to want to work less. But I think in general, that's always an assumption we make, that people don't want to work. When in general, I think most people are like, hey, I do want to do some work. Marco raised his hand when I said they don't want to work. Yeah. Most people do want, especially understanding the idea that I have to work in order to live. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Marco would go and do some woodworking, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
He built some things on the side. Yeah. So.
But you and I don't have that skill. So.
Oh, that's true. So interesting study.
Okay,
I thought I would say.
So now what happens with this? It's just a study.
I mean, I guess they'll probably check back in with maybe some of the companies, that decided to keep doing it. And again, the vast majority of them decided to continue on, at least on a still continued trial basis, some permanently. But interesting study. I felt like it opens up that window of understanding where that might fit in, and that people shouldn't be as scared of the idea as maybe they think they should be.
And now we have like a study around it.
Yeah,
some
exactly.
Statistics that actually kind of it was intentionally done around
This
this
will,
point.
let's be honest, this will be the next frontier because if you remember, obviously we fought for a very long time. People were very concerned about the idea of people being able to work remotely or at home on even a semi-regular basis. I think we've overcome that hurdle finally. We understood hey,
For sure.
that can be done.
Yeah.
So is this the next hurdle? Is
This
the next
might be the
hurdle
next
of
hurdle,
hey,
yes.
You
Look
know
at
what?
you.
We can get our job done in 4 days a week too.
Out on the cutting edge.
I'm just saying, if you need a volunteer, I'll try it out.
Everybody.
I'll be the guinea pig for us if you like. I got no problem with that.
You'll be the BlueStar guinea pig. Yeah,
Exactly.
All right.
Hey, and I promise you, this is my word. My work will not suffer for it at all. So.
See, I know that's true. So that's what sucks about that statement. Yeah.
All right. What do you got? Talk to us about
stuff.
the EV charging network. I know you're a guy that drives an EV, and I know there's probably one in my not near future, but at least my next vehicle future. So,
Well,
what's going on with the
I
network?
continue to be fascinated by it, and I wanted to bring it up because there's some opportunities here, folks, for some of our resellers. We'll get into that in just a second. But as you know, there's a directive out there from the White House and others to try to get, I think it's 500,000 accessible chargers across the country by 2030. So that is
it's a lofty goal.
7 years from now, we got to get there. Now, they're going to there's a big boost because Tesla, I guess, is opening up their charging network to non-Tesla cars, which does have some Tesla owners a little miffed, right? Because they're like, well,
They're going to have to wait in line.
now my lines are going to be bigger because I got a Kia sitting there waiting to get charged, and not my Tesla. But
you can't all be elitist forever. Sorry.
right.
The rest of us do have to get to play. Come on.
That's hysterical. So anyway, but dude, that's a huge network. Even though when you look at it, of course, California, New York, Florida lead. Who has the most accessible charging stations today, and a little bit more in this article kind of paints a picture that the West Coast is already so well developed that it's like this electric station network that you can get from basically the north part of the U.S. down to the south, traveling the West Coast, no problem at all. But at the end of the line here, and by the way, there's a lot of money involved in this.
Oh, I'm sure.
$7.5 billion in a charging fund that is there from the administration, from the government. So, why one of the reasons I thought we would bring this up here is to just paint the picture that for our resellers, just to get serious here, there is an opportunity here in the EV charging world, right? You already own the relationship with whatever entity you're dealing with. So if it's on the warehouse, transportation, logistics side, those folks are going to start looking into fleet EVs, right?
Yep.
I mean, even if it's delivery vans to large trucks, it's going to be there eventually. And so you own the relationship. You can start having those conversations. If you're on the hospitality retail side, same thing. You have the ability to develop this business. BlueStar has a solution that we'll get into and check us out on different pods coming up, that there's just an opportunity here, right? But again, I think that we all need to start educating ourselves on this, because it'll be at the end of the road, it's still going to be a blend. Gas isn't going anywhere for decades probably, but there are going to be charging stations. EV sales are going to continue to go up. So you might as well learn it and use it as an opportunity. I mean, if you could go back in time to the early 1900s and, all the gas station owners and stuff like that, but actually be a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting.
Another
because
ground floor you want to get in on.
Another ground floor you want to get into, because believe it or not, in this EV charging station world, you as the reseller can make money on it. It's like where we were with payments, many years ago, when the payments companies started getting into POS and paying for it because of the small fees that are accumulated on every transaction. Same idea, folks, here on the EV charging station, and you could be a part of it. So anyway, it's a tsunami. 500,000 accessible chargers. Oh, by the way, we only have is it around 100,000 right now chargers in the U.S.
7,500 Tesla stations currently existing, and then it said Hertz, BP, GM, and EV Go are among the 16 companies that provide an additional 100,000 chargers.
Well, those are going to be the 100,000. But as of March 2021, I looked up the stat. There are 100,000 public charging stations.
So we got a ways to
across
go
the
still.
U.S. So you got 400,000 in 7 years.
And you could be responsible for a few hundred of those.
Dude, it's out there. In fact, I got to go, man. I got to go start installing some of these. I guess you got to need to know an electrician would be good. I'm not really good with electric. Are you good with electric?
I've installed a ceiling fan or two here and there, and frankly, that makes me a little nervous. nervous.
Oh yeah,
but,
electric is like one of those things. In my house, I'll do anything. I'll sweat a pipe.
Yeah,
I'll try to put up
yeah.
a wall. But then when it comes to the electric, I'm like,
Yeah,
because
I don't
if you
like to
mess
mess
that
with it.
up.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't like to
Marco,
mess with
have
it
you
too
ever
much.
done some electric? Oh yeah, well, so of course he's no problem. You ever gotten shocked doing an electrical? Yeah, see, is that how the beard came around?
That's the hurdle for us. Is we don't like the shock part of it. Like, look, I like the work's fine. It's the shock part that I have a problem with.
I don't feel like getting blown across the room
There you
because
go.
I hit a connector wrong. Anyway, so
Well, this is good news though, because I mean, again, we're heading that direction. Let's be honest. We're, more and more people are going to buy these vehicles, and a big part of the hurdle to people buying more of them is to some extent that fear of, well, how far can I actually go with one of these?
that's one of the huge.
If I don't
big
have a
things.
charging
Yeah.
station
Yeah,
along
yeah,
the
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
And again, just like a gas station, at some point you're going to get to a point where pretty much any major exit wherever you're driving is going to have one of these stations that you can stop and charge at. So
Yeah.
they have to, it's going to have to happen, and then more and more people are going to start buying these vehicles. Again, why not? Why ignore that opportunity if you could get involved in that at
That's
this
right.
point?
Yeah, for sure,
And I like
for
your
sure.
point about the relationships already exist, and it's just you just sidling over like, hey, here's a completely different kind of technology, but I know it's something that's going to be meaningful
Yep.
to you and your customers.
And if you ever get
to what you're
interested, we got
doing.
a solution for you, kind of a thing, because it will be an agent model that rolls this out for sure. Might as well get a cut of it and help you
Exactly.
in on your income, because apparently income isn't going far enough.
I mean, I don't think anyone's particularly surprised by this, but an actual study was done about how far $100,000 goes in various cities around the
got
country.
you.
The
Okay,
largest
so-
U.S. cities. So this is a
Well,
study
dude,
that was done.
if I'm in San Francisco, does that even pay for water?
Well,
Or like
oddly enough, San Francisco's, well, I mean, you should probably figure what the worst potentially is. We'll get to that.
All right.
So this is a recent survey from Payments, PYMNTS, and Lending Club worked together on this.
Mm-hmm.
And since we always like to talk about our methodology here, it's a fairly simple one. So essentially what they did is they used Smart Assets Paycheck Calculator to apply taxes to an annual salary of $100,000.
All right, so I got 100K. We took out the taxes.
Right,
Got
the
it.
taxes for whatever city,
Yep.
and then also compared that to whatever the cost of living standard is,
All
and
right.
basically came up with a figure of here's how much $100,000 is actually worth in these major cities based on the tax rate and the cost of living.
Got it.
Now, not surprisingly, the absolute worst at the top of the list was New York. Was New York City.
New York City. Yeah.
Which apparently came out to an average of $38,000, a little under $38,000 is what your $100K is worth. The leading city was Memphis, of all cities, not the one I would have expected.
Wait, like the best place to be?
So apparently, a person earning $100,000 a year in Memphis takes home $74,515.
Wow.
After federal and local taxes. Considering the city has a cost of living that's almost 14% lower than the national average, those after-tax earnings are actually worth $86,444 when adjusted for the cost of living. So
Wow. So if you're getting a 100K payment, that's equating 86,000 in Memphis?
basically,
That's
yeah,
a lot of barbecue that you can get down there.
you can do pretty well apparently in that
I'll
city.
be darned.
There were a few Texas cities actually that made the top 5 of the list: El Paso,
Dude, it
Corpus
looks like a
Christi,
lot of Texas cities
Lubbock,
in here.
Houston, San Antonio and Fort Worth and Arlington were all tied at number 7 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 was Oklahoma City, so that was another one high on the list. St. Louis comes in at number 7. And of course, I checked Cincinnati, our local city here, which came in at number 25 on the list with an average at around 74K as what your 100K is.
All
worth.
right.
That's not
Yeah.
bad. That's
so
not
3/4
terrible.
of what you're earning, you get.
But you got to think though. So 100K for some folks, 100K is a standard to reach that they may never get to in their life or would dream of getting to.
That's still
and
good.
to
That's
and to
great
know that in
income.
some cities that still is barely worth much of anything.
Yeah.
is a little depressing.
Well, no, it's very depressing. I often wonder about that. I mean, the coast and some of these cities that are, it's outlandish. I don't know how people do it, honestly. On whatever a living wage would be in San Francisco.
You mentioned San Fran. Let me look that up here on the list.
Crazy.
San Francisco comes in at number 74 of the top. I guess it was the top
100.
The top 100, yeah. So it comes in at number 74. Their take-home pay amounts to $36,000. So yeah.
Yeah.
Not-
Now, what I
not
was
great.
really surprised to see is no Florida locations in the top 10. There was an abundant amount of, as you mentioned, Texas, right? Texas had 5 in the top 10.
Yep. The first-
so everybody knows, Texas is Texas,
Right.
and they're, But Florida is like an income tax, I thought, free state. So
the first one Florida has on this is Jacksonville at number 12.
Right,
So that's
yeah.
not too far down, but not
too
great
far, but they
either.
only have two.
Tampa's at 23. Yeah, so
and that's it.
Your top 25, you're not getting too many there.
Well, Miami's expensive. I guess Orlando's getting expensive too. But anyway, I was just a little bit surprised.
Vegas surprisingly shows up at number 20 at 74,000.
No way. Vegas?
I guess if you live there and work there, you probably aren't wasting money there like the people that visit. It's a different thing to be a visitor in Vegas and a person who lives and works in Vegas.
Oh, you got nothing to do in Vegas unless you were going to go.
Exactly.
All the
I'm sure
debauchery that is Vegas.
I'm assuming you don't indulge in a lot of that when you actually live and work there as much.
I didn't.
So.
That is a good point. I guess the cost of living in Vegas is not terrible.
Yeah.
Well, if you can go to those buffets for like $15,
No doubt, man.
and
Oh,
feed yourself.
Good Vegas
on
buffet.
that.
I missed that right now.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
that is a little depressing,
though. Little on the depressing side. Check out,
man.
as always, we always put all the links in the show notes to all these articles we talk about.
Yeah.
So go to there. There's the calculator. You can type your local big city in there and
Yep.
and see what yours is worth.
Yep.
All right, Dean. Let's talk about finding the news and how to get how generations get their news these days.
So it was a little bit of an article that came out on, where folks get their news. Not a huge, I guess there are some things about this that aren't a huge surprise, but there was one thing that I thought was kind of interesting. So anyway, they broke it down by the generations, right? Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, as you can imagine. Then they kind of plotted it out, where do people get their news? So when you look at it, what would you expect? Baby boomers, from news websites or any kind of social media.
And we're talking digital news too.
We are
this
talking
doesn't
digital
include
news.
like newspapers.
No.
And I don't even think they don't even include like television media either.
Correct.
Like
No
TV
no,
channels
right,
or network.
Right. So this is just online stuff,
Right.
right? Yeah. So news websites, right? The news websites are where boomers are going, Gen Xers are going. Curious, though, that even Facebook ranked pretty high for Gen Xers and millennials. I guess they're getting a lot of theirs from Facebook. Now, for me, that's there. You can just stop. Well, actually, I don't do Facebook, for news. It's news websites. Now, Twitter. I thought everybody got their news from Twitter, but Twitter ranked really low across the generations, if you ask me. All of them were less than 10% of those generations get their news from Twitter, which, again, I'll just restate it, I thought was fascinating. Because you always talk to people, it's like, why are you on Twitter?
I know.
And everybody goes to it's where I get my news.
I feel like Twitter's become one of those things that not as many people are really there as we think are there. Like they've made it feel like it is, and because it became such kind of a hot button place, especially over the last 6 years or so. Like it's I feel like there's more talk about it than there is actual people using it and finding anything functional and useful.
Okay, but that's fair. So, but again, I mean, here I am thinking, it's especially younger generations like Gen Z, millennials. I just figured they were.
And Twitter,
get their news.
And to be honest, like especially in Twitter's earlier days, like not so much anymore, but definitely once upon a time, Twitter was a place to find the news faster than almost anywhere else.
Yeah,
like I do remember at a point,
it still has that.
It does.
It's got that over even like
but
online
to your
news.
point, that's kind of why it is surprising that people aren't using it as much, given that the rapidity of it is much higher than almost any other type of site out there.
No, maybe to your point, I mean, Twitter is just like a cesspool, right? It's like where people just go and they yell, and it's like it's not a lot
trust
of
me, it's
fun.
only gotten worse.
Of course. Well, but it's unless you're following people that like sports people or something like that you think is kind of cool. Anyway, maybe that is reinforcing that. So at the end of the road, though, where do Gen Z get there? This is a little depressing, if you ask me. Where are they getting their news? 14% of them. So that ranked pretty high in this survey.
Right. The highest definitely for of anything outside of Google search. This was the highest rank, I think, wasn't it?
It's TikTok.
Yeah.
That's right. TikTok is where you get your. Now, I am not on TikTok. Are you even on
I am.
TikTok?
Like now, I don't do anything on TikTok. Like
But
I'm
you
not.
have the app.
But I have
You
the
have a
app.
persona.
And I don't. It is not a place I've ever thought about for news.
I would never
To me,
think
it's
to get
just
news
it's
there.
more fun. It's more for fun than anything.
It's bubblegum.
It's fun.
It's bubblegum
Occasionally
and
there's some
popcorn and visual
informational
candy.
stuff, and I can see how you could find that potentially. Plus, and a lot of it has to do with the algorithm. So I guess if you're someone who's going there and searching for certain things because you're trying to find out what's going on with stories, I could see how the algorithm would suddenly craft it into something of a news source for you. But that's just it. If I'm going there and searching, I'm usually searching for a specific person
Yeah.
that I want to see is on TikTok, and not necessarily for specific stories or things that I want to see videos about.
Yeah, but so I don't know, dude. I mean, right? But when you're consuming information, it's in short format, right? On TikTok. I mean,
it can
you
be.
can get a little
It can be up
longer
to like
videos.
3-4 minutes, depending on.
But I mean, probably not a lot of people are doing that.
But
so.
again, let's be honest. A lot of people's attention span isn't that long either. So,
No. Yeah. So anyway, news from there I thought was very surprising.
Yeah.
But when you look at what ranked number 2 for Gen Z, that would be YouTube. That is all video. So that is clearly just this indicator is if I'm getting my news and what I need is valuable information, even though I know they're young, not old enough to really maybe care about a lot of the quote unquote news that is happening in the world. I even asked my older children, it's like, are you in touch with what's going on? What? No. What? Do you know who the president is? No, what? It's kind of a stuff. But anyway, it's fascinating that it is all video based. That they are consuming their information via these, not reading it on a news website or whatnot. It's all video.
Well, I mean, we've known this. Like, we've established that the younger generations, especially Gen Z, are more video based than any others. It's why so many marketing activities are devoted towards video these days, because if you're trying to attract that generation, that's their preferred format.
Well, and so to your point early on when we first started breaking into this article, you were indicating that so media, TV media is not in here and print media is not in here. But I feel like that would not matter at all to millennials and Gen Z.
They would barely be a blip to anyone outside of boomers and maybe a good chunk of Gen X. Yeah, it would barely be a blip. And I'll be honest, I couldn't tell you last time I read a newspaper.
I was just about to ask, when's the last time you held a newspaper in your hand?
I couldn't tell you. Like, of anything of any substance, no. And then and I don't watch a lot of cable news or local news really either anymore. No.
Well, see, I watch the local news just to see what's going on.
My thing is but
it usually only lasts 5 or 10 minutes because it's all the murders,
right? And I don't know if this was built into the news publisher's website. Like, I always have the Apple News app on my phone, and I have alerts for a lot of different news publications that I like to follow. So there's a lot of news I get from those alerts that come through. Twitter's probably like a secondary one, but I tend to use Twitter more for just like, hey, I want reactions to last night's episode of Mandalorian. Right. More than anything. Yeah. So, but I think, for me personally, the news is probably more of like app based. So I guess if that counts, maybe under the website part of things.
I think that would. But that's where that would fall.
I've never thought of it from TikTok. I wouldn't think of it necessarily from YouTube. Twitter, maybe. I don't do Instagram or Facebook anymore. So it's just interesting. It is
interesting.
And it's interesting to see, like, because we've been looking at this death knell of some types of social media for a while. I think it's been slowly happening. I've said it before. I don't see like Facebook or Twitter lasting this decade, frankly. Like, I think both of them will probably be gone. But I'm also curious about what they get replaced with at this point, because I think TikTok's probably not going to be the answer, because it seems like that's on a slippery slope for a lot of different reasons. Is someone going to come up with something similar to that might work in its place?
YouTube Shorts,
Yeah, YouTube Shorts could kind of get us there too. Yeah. But it's probably we're probably just also reaching this point where I have to acknowledge that I'm probably starting to age out of some of the newer innovations.
Welcome to the club, brother.
I'm at least on TikTok. At least I'm enough there. But I also
age out.
I also don't quite understand, TikTok in the way that other people do. I definitely have found nothing useful for myself. I'm like, no one is going to care what I put on TikTok at all. I cannot see myself going viral there in any sense whatsoever.
Oh, come on.
Unless it's someone else taking a video of me doing something stupid,
right,
and putting it out there and everybody laughing at it.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair. So anyway, there you have it. There's the news and where people are getting the news. Now, following up on the news, real quick, I thought we'd tap into the last story is the Kiosk marketplace. They came out with a recent study that they actually do every year, a census report. And it's just one of those things that I find fascinating, because I used to, live in the digital signage kind of kiosk type of world. This world continues to gain momentum, be very big. I know we've talked about it a lot here. Just some numbers behind it: 14.5 billion in global sales of interactive kiosks, not counting ATMs or, for whatever reason, refreshment vending machines they cut out of this, which I thought was kind of, I got a chuckle out of that too. But anyway, which is a 20% gain just from 2021, which was just 12 billion. So I mean, when you've got a CAGR like that that's running, when you've got these kinds of increases, I'm telling you. Again, for a lot of our folks, if you're not into kiosk or not even interested,
right.
Maybe you should be, because a lot of this stuff is going to be prevalent everywhere. So anyway, they queried 300 companies and kind of asked them some questions around, how do you use it? And those types of things. Now, of those 300, 55% of those that answered this were in retail, and then 18% were in government. 13% were in no category, so I don't know who the heck these people were.
Yeah, they said none of the above includes financial, lodging, utilities.
Oh, there you go.
Residential, manufacturing, storage, places where you just don't see a lot of them.
Yeah. And what all I wanted to call out is, from those folks, what type of kiosks are you operating? And some of them you would be like, yeah, of course.
Right.
It's the retail order and pay kind of kiosk. I'm going to skip number 2.
Yeah,
government, admin, education, okay, restaurant orders, paying. That kind of stuff. You're starting to see it in healthcare. In fact, that came in at 11%, or visitor and employee kind of health screening and things of that nature. And then just some of the more niche stuff that's starting to come up, like pickup lockers and parking. I highlighted gift dispensing. Do you know what gift dispensing? I thought that was odd. That came in at 7%. I'm like, gift dispensing kiosk? What is that?
Unless that's just like where you again can maybe kind of create your own gift or something.
Is that? Are we talking
build a bear or something?
Yeah, the little claw where you grab the bear.
I don't know.
I was a little
sure
confused on that one. But anyway, another one that I find fascinating.
I guess it could be like the stuff you find in airports. Where there's little kiosks there that you can buy stuff out of. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to go back up to bill payment.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting at number 2.
So clearly, and I apologize. I've never had to pay a bill via a kiosk, right? But I guess that's a cash type of a transaction.
I find them a lot in
I can see
in
myself
grocery
using
stores,
it. Okay,
local shops or whatever. And to your point, yes, it typically is sometimes in low income communities or places where there's not a lot of accessibility to banks, ATMs, or the actual company that you're paying to at all either.
Right. Yeah. So, but I found it fascinating that's a really high number of kiosks that are out there. Some of the things that are waning. In fact, I just saw in the news yesterday that Netflix, did they finally mail their last DVD? They're not doing it anymore.
Yes.
DVD rental is still on here, so I'm guessing. Okay,
I guess Redbox is still out there.
So my message is, get into kiosks. It's okay. Get into self-serve, but not DVD rental ones.
They're down there at 2% now still.
Yeah. Which, curiously, EV charging, which we already talked about, is down there. Now, that's one that's going to skyrocket up if you ask me. Yeah, and just don't get into the DVD rentals.
Yeah, I think that's a little on the dead side. I saw that Netflix posted something on Twitter of showed the video of the iterations of all of their DVD packaging over the years.
Really?
I was a very early adopter. I was on board very early in the world of Netflix. Was totally into getting those DVDs in the mail for a long time before they went to streaming, and gave me kind of choked me up a little bit. I'm like, man, that was. That's
good
iconic,
times.
man.
Good times, yeah.
That was streaming before streaming existed, where you just I got a disc of 10 episodes of Star Trek or whatever, and watch them and send them back. Got another disc.
Yes.
So
good stuff. And to put a bow on this one, average cost for a kiosk, 33% of those that are installed are under $5,000. So
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. And the commentary there is, the technology is getting to a point now where the cost, it really isn't the prohibitive factor in trying to install some of these things, because it used to be. And as we talked about it on the head end of this show, automation, labor shortages. When you look at it, 56% of those kiosks that are installed are $10,000 or less. So if you can put in some self-serving or some kiosks that do these tasks for less than 10 grand, well, unfortunately, that's, compared to labor, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
You can get your ROI real quick on something.
They don't take breaks. They don't ask for raises.
That's right.
Not that I don't want the laborers to get their piece, but I'm just saying, if you're struggling with that can be a nice, or again, as we've always said, you can allocate your labor force to other tasks that
There it
help
is.
build your business.
There
too,
it is.
you know,
There
like,
it is. Yeah,
so
yeah.
they don't have to stand there manning a cash register. You can have them doing other more productive activities all day.
Bingo. So there
stuff.
you go. Now you got your water cooler topics
There you go.
for the next month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
until we do
this
the next
again.
Text Bite.
Exactly. And hey, if you got ideas for Tech Bites, by the way, I would love to get some of those.
Let's do.
Because Dean and I, we try to keep our running lists as we go through stuff.
Yep.
And sometimes we got to do one of these episodes. Maybe we're like, oh, we need to fill in an episode. We don't have a guest for this week. Let's
Yep.
do a Tech Bites.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but occasionally I'm kind of scrambling, like, oh, I got to find some of the stuff
Yeah,
that I've
for
got.
sure.
I got to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
a new article to talk about.
Right.
If you have interesting stories that you would like to hear us talk about, you should let us know about those.
Absolutely.
Just like we want you to tell us about what's going on and or what you want to hear about on the podcast in general.
Mm-hmm.
Send that stuff to us. There's always a link in the show notes for you to drop topic ideas and submissions for us. Send that stuff into us. You can also send it to us via email, via Twitter. So you can always find us on Twitter at TEConnect Pod. You can email us TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up as always with our. Usually we have our value to the VAR segment, and I think we've touched on this a little bit. But what kind of takeaways do you have from any of these stories that are relevant to our VARs that they should really be paying attention to?
Yeah, again, I mean, just to kind of reiterate, I'm going to go back to the EV charging one because I really think that there's some gold in that. We have solutions for you. If you're interested, reach out to us. There is a tsunami coming there. It's just the early stages of the train pulling out of the station.
Yep.
And if you're looking for new opportunities in your area, if you've got great relationships with folks in your, which you do, there are opportunities there.
Yeah.
And we always talk about it. It's adding onto your tech stack and being able to be flexible in some of your offerings, maybe thinking outside the box a little bit. That's what you need to do, and this is a way to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then get your workers, only 4 days of work week, I guess.
Hey, why not? If you can, do it. The only thing I would add to the EV thing stood out to me. Obviously, the ProMat story too kind of illustrates,
Yeah.
that
It's
there's
everybody's
that
pain.
there is there's pain points, there are challenges that are clearly still out there, and people are hungry for solutions. 50,000 people show up to a show where
right.
the bulk of the conversations are around automation and labor shortages.
Great point.
And how we solve those problems, and companies that are there showing off how to solve those problems.
Yep.
That just tells me that
Yep.
is a need that has not gone anywhere yet, and there is demand for it. And if you're not talking about it to your customers, someone else
Or
probably
figuring
is.
out a solution for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that
hey, if
can
you
get
need
it.
those partners, come to us.
Yep.
We're happy to help hook you up with
This is
partners
true.
that can help
This
you
is
out
true.
with that.
Yes,
So.
absolutely.
All right, let's wrap up as always with what's TEConnecting with you. Kind of an extension of our Tech Bites in a way where we get to talk about something in the world of science, tech, innovation that caught our eye, got our attention, we want to chat about. Kick it off here, Dean. What's TEConnecting with you?
Oh, you're going to love me for this one.
All right.
All right, I'm just going to read it. Researchers uncover mechanism that allow beetles to absorb moisture from the atmosphere through their rear ends.
Oh,
Yes,
of
exactly. A unique ability replaces the need to drink water and allows insects to thrive in dry environments. I don't, when I come across a headline like that, it's just, I wonder if
It's
it's
catnip
clickbait.
for you, isn't it?
It is clickbait. I fully understand that I am, succumbing to that. But if there's some research behind, if somebody actually sat there and did the research to confirm that this is actually true, that beetles can absorb moisture through their rear ends.
Are we missing out on something as humans? Like, is putting our underwear and pants on? Are we missing out of opportunities to be healthier in some way or do something better? I don't know.
Maybe it is.
I don't want to be the one to experiment with it, but the animal kingdom seems like they're into
Well,
this.
beetles are hard to kill, right? I mean, these
true.
little guys can they're like cockroaches. I think they can survive whatever, nuclear winters and stuff like this because they're absorbing water from all kinds of orifices.
There you
It
go.
doesn't really matter. I thought you would love this one. And you're going to love this one too. I
Okay.
got two of them. Pizzeria offers free pizza for a year. Free pizza for a year in exchange for what? TSwift tickets. That's how hard they are to get. You cannot get. So this poor guy down in, let me see where he's at. I think he's down in Texas somewhere. No, New Orleans. New Orleans pizzeria offering free pizza for a year in exchange for your Taylor Swift tickets.
Well, I mean, if he wants to come to Cincinnati, he can have mine.
You got T-Swift tickets?
Yeah, I mean, they're like nosebleeds, behind the stage nosebleeds.
Z's
I think,
Pizzeria
but-
will buy them from you. Well, no, we'll take them from you and give you free pizza for a year.
Maybe I need
for
to
that.
sample the pizza first, if it's really that good.
Well, maybe down in New Orleans, she's selling out everywhere, right?
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
whole thing, didn't it sell out in like
Oh yeah,
hours
like it
or
was,
something
and
like
there
that?
was just a monumental disaster.
Monumental disaster
Getting
around there.
people getting tickets.
Well,
and,
Xander White, this poor guy at Z's Pizzeria, the owner of Z's Pizzeria, I don't feel too bad for him. But anyway, he can't get tickets, and so he is willing to give you a year's worth of pizza. Isn't that fun?
Yeah,
That's fun. Anyway,
there you go. That
so
is
what's
fun.
tech connecting with you, my friend?
All right, so my latest mobile obsession.
Mobile.
I don't get into mobile games that often on my phone, but I have
but you
become
got me in that Tecmo Bowl thing. But anyway, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. That was my obsession.
That's a good
for a
one.
while.
It's a good
But
one.
now I've got one that I've even got on my phone, which I usually don't do them on my phone. If I do them, it's maybe on my iPad when
All
I'm
right.
home relaxing. But now I've got one on my phone. It's called Marvel Snap. So it is based on Marvel Comics and the Marvel films properties.
Okay.
And it is such a simple game, but man, is it addicting.
Marvel Snap.
And it's basically one of these like card games of sorts where essentially you play and you're given a deck of like, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 cards, something like
Okay.
that,
All right.
of various characters. They all have different properties depending on how to utilize
And these
them.
are real characters that you would
these
recognize?
are actual characters from
Got
Marvel. Well, if you're not a Marvel Comics person, you may
Right.
not know who half the characters
Okay,
are.
got it.
But there's a lot of recognizable ones from the movies and
Sure,
stuff, obviously, and the TV shows.
Okay.
So it's basically you compete against another player. So you go in, you start a game,
Mm-hmm.
someone else joins in, and essentially you have like 3 zones that are on the screen, and each of those zones can potentially modify what you do with your cards when you put them there, or might
Okay.
change things up.
All right.
So every turn you have a certain amount of energy, and your cards cost a certain amount to play. So you can play a card, maybe bump up your stats, and whoever wins 2 out of those 3 zones wins that game, and you get like power ups and boosts and new cards and stuff. You can play it. It's one of those games. It's a freemium game where you can pay if you wanted to get better stuff. But I have not paid a dime for this game at all, and I've been playing it for a few weeks now, and I've leveled up constantly, and I'm getting new fun cards and stuff. I'm not like, it's one of those things where like I've gotten to the point where I'm like not as like sitting there playing like 20 games in a row anymore.
Oh, okay.
But still something fun enough where if I've got a few extra minutes, like a game takes maybe like 2-3 minutes.
It's
to
that
play.
fast?
Maybe,
Well, there's the Snap.
maybe like 5 minutes.
Marvel
total, but
Snap,
like,
yeah.
And there's kind of a the snap part of it is because you can snap like Thanos and like up the amount of points that you can get for a game. If you're feeling confident, you can snap to your opponent and basically tell them like, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm going to beat you.
Gotcha.
They can do the same and keep up in the ante. And if you need to, if you really think you're not going to win, you can also retreat and kind of save your losses a little bit too. But it's one of those games you start playing if you're in any way remotely invested in Marvel or interested in that stuff or like those kind of games.
Yeah.
I promise you, it's a fun game, but you'll lose some time in. So, and you don't have to pay any money to.
Is it
really
fun
enjoy
enough
it.
that Miles could do it? Easy enough that Miles
He's
could do it?
been watching me play. Like he doesn't quite get it. Mostly he just likes to peek over my shoulder and go, "Who's that? Who's that? What character is that? What's his power? Is that a good guy? Is that a bad guy?" But yes, it's something I'm sure if he were a little bit older, he would be all about it and playing it like
in 2 to
crazy
3
too,
minutes,
so.
like when you're waiting in line to pick him up, childcare or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. It's a
exactly.
boom, boom,
There's
boom.
not. It's a pretty quick run you can do to play a quick game.
Marvel
so.
Snap. It is, my
There you
friend.
go.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
All right, that's what's tech connecting with us. Those are the bites we decided to chew on.
Yes.
In the world of tech, science, and innovation this week. Again, send in your ideas for us if you have them. But that is all for us. It is time for us to unplug. So until next time, if you got some Taylor Swift tickets, reach out to
your local
guy in a
pizzeria.
pizza
Do
place.
a little swapping.
Find a right city that $100,000 goes a good distance in. Reach out to us about EV stations.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take tomorrow off and start
you go,
working on this 4-day work week. thing, so.
Just like that.
Yeah, there you go. Until next time, stay connected. TEConnect podcast is brought to you by Zebra. It pays to partner with Zebra.
Oh, I love that line.
Does it make up for that day off that we're going to take off work, though?
Got to get paid.
Zebra's not endorsing that, or
No.
that, or at least not that they're putting in this particular ad.
There you go, yes.
That's just me speaking out of turn.
Right.
Join the Sell and Win Club incentive program to be recognized and rewarded for your individual sales performance. You'll accumulate points for eligible sales transactions, which you can redeem for exciting rewards from Zebra's extensive rewards catalog. Rewards include merchandise, gift cards, experiences. I want to know what that means.
Yes, experiences.
Educational resources, and more. There are other great opportunities available to earn even more points in the Sell and Win Club, such as attending live training webinars, taking advantage of special promotions, or participating in the Zebra Customer Reference Program.
Nice.
Check out the link in the show notes to learn more about how to get started, or reach out to your BlueStar Zebra BDM. TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by ELO. Built with versatility in mind, ELO EdgeConnect offers a wide assortment of peripheral options for your digital display. Whether endless aisle, self-order, collaboration, you can seamlessly attach up to 4 peripherals to the touchscreen edge with flexibility to add, remove, or change later as needed.
Yes.
I think it's always fun stuff when you can plug and play things.
Absolutely, especially up to 4. It's like Mr. Potato Head. You can just attach whatever you need to it. Modularity, folks. There it is.
ELO presents Mr. Potato Head. Temperature sensors, status lights, 3D conference cameras, barcode scanners, card readers, collaboration tools, payment cradles, that little mustache, some feet. If you can't find peripherals to meet any customer needs, you just aren't trying.
You're not trying.
To learn more, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar account manager.